In a bustling coastal city where the clocks never stopped and the people never rested, lived a young man named Zaryab. The city was a monument to ambition. Everyone there was racing to build the tallest towers, earn the loudest praise, and accumulate the most wealth. To the people of this city, value was measured only by what was permanent and expensive. But Zaryab was different. Every morning, while the merchants rushed to the markets and the builders to their scaffolds, Zaryab would walk in the opposite direction, toward the lonely stretch of the northern beach. There, with nothing but his bare hands and the wet sand, he would build. He didn't build houses, he built dreams. He crafted intricate spires, delicate archways, and grand courtyards out of sand. He spent hours in total silence, his mind focused entirely on the grain of the earth and the rhythm of the tide. The city folk often passed by and laughed. "Zaryab, you are a fool," they would shout. "Why waste your life on something the ocean will take by sunset? Look at our stone towers. They represent power. Your castles represent nothing but wasted time." Zaryab would hear the whispers, much like Benjamin did in his village. He felt the sting of being an outsider. Sometimes he would look at his hands, covered in grit, and wonder, is there something wrong with me? Why do I find peace in what others find pointless? But then, he would look at the sunset reflecting off his sand towers, and his heart would feel full. He wasn't building for them. He was building for his soul. One afternoon, a wealthy merchant stopped to watch him. "I can buy you the finest marble in the land," the merchant said, "if you promise to build me a palace that will last 1,000 years. Why choose sand?" Zaryab looked at the vast, unpredictable ocean and replied quietly, "The stone teaches you pride because you think it stays forever. The sand teaches me patience because I know it will leave. It reminds me that the joy is in the creating, not the possessing." The merchant shook his head and walked away, calling him a madman. Years passed. Zaryab grew older, his patience thickening like a shield. Then, the great storm came. It was a tempest unlike any the city had ever seen. For 3 days, the sky turned black, and the ocean reclaimed the land. The permanent stone towers cracked under the pressure of the wind. The eternal marble stairs were swallowed by the rising tide. When the sun finally broke through the clouds, the city was in ruins. The people stood amidst the debris of their lives, weeping because everything they had tied their worth to was gone. They looked toward the beach, expecting to see Zaryab broken and defeated. After all, if their stone had fallen, his sand must have vanished instantly. They found Zaryab sitting by the water. His castles were gone, leveled to a flat, smooth plain of wet sand. But Zaryab wasn't crying. He was smiling. He had already begun to dig his fingers into the earth, starting a new foundation. "How can you smile?" a ruined builder asked, his voice trembling. "Everything you worked for is gone. You have nothing left." Zaryab stood up, his eyes bright with a quiet strength. "You don't understand," he said. "You spent your lives building things to hide behind. You thought your towers were your strength. But when the storm took the towers, it took your spirit too. I spent my life building things I knew I would lose. I didn't practice building castles. I practiced building myself." He picked up a handful of sand and let it trickle through his fingers. "The storm took the sand, but it couldn't take my hands. It couldn't take my vision. It couldn't take my patience. I am not starting from zero. I am starting from experience." The people fell silent. They realized that while they were rich in things, Zaryab was rich in character. He had the courage to walk alone and the patience to start over as many times as life required. Zaryab never became a famous architect of stone. He remained the man on the beach. But as the years went by, people from the city began to join him. They realized that a life spent chasing permanent status was a life of constant fear. They learned from Zaryab that true courage isn't about building something that lasts forever. It's about having the peace of mind to be okay when it doesn't. The moral: do not fear being the person who builds with sand, while the world builds with stone. Your worth is not defined by your belongings or your social standing. It is defined by the strength of your heart, the depth of your patience, and your ability to stand tall even when everything around you falls. One real moment of peace is worth more than a lifetime of hollow pride.